Hi, my name is Ellen Storm from U-Turn Health, and I am here today to invite you to join me for Raw Ground. So what is Raw Ground? Raw Ground is U-Turn Health's introductory level community workshop, and we will be learning a little bit together about low-fat, high-raw plant-based nutrition, embodied movement practice and creative reflection, and how these three things together can work as a really powerful combination to help you to achieve your health goals and to get to a better place from a wellness perspective, I suppose. But you might find that this is quite a different approach from some of the other things that are out there in the world, particularly in the sort of diet and fitness industry. So what are we going to be doing if you come along to one of these workshops? Well, I'm trying to explain. The first thing we will do is a bit of a gentle warm up with movement and music, but it's not like yoga. It's not a prescribed set of positions. We're going to be working with the body and through the body so that we are coming to understand the connections between what we eat and how we feel in ourselves physically, and just taking a little bit of time, because often in life we're rushing about and we're doing stuff and we don't really have that connection somehow, so it's really about just having a bit of time and a little bit of space just to gently come into relationship with our physical selves and to learn to feel what our bodies are doing and what they need. And I think that's just so important when we come to talk about changing our diet for health. So we're just going to do that. We're going to have a little stretch and a little bit of music and move, and that'll all be hopefully quite lovely. And then we might do a few little exercises or sort of guided things where I might kind of throw out the occasional idea. And these are kind of just little things that you can choose whether or not you want to pick up on. So there'll be a few of those sorts of things. We might do a little bit of writing. It won't be a lot because we're not going to go really deep here. This is very much just come and find out if you're interested. So if you are interested, you don't have to be plant-based, you don't have to be raw, you don't have to be vegan, you don't ever have to have done any embodied movement practice before of any sort, and there are a few different types out there. You don't have to be a dancer. You don't have to have an amazing body. It doesn't matter. So everybody is welcome, whoever you are, whatever age you are, you are welcome to come along, hang out in the space, see what's going on. We will come together at the end for a little closing circle, close the movement part. I think this is the way I'm imagining this at the moment. Is I think everyone will be a little bit different. So we'll adapt because it will depend on who's there. However, closing circle, opportunity for some questions and some feedback, a little bit of sharing for whatever it is that you brought into the space, and then we will have some food. It's just a few raw snacks and things like that so that we can, maybe if you're not familiar with this way of eating, start to kind of see, well, what does that look like? What might it look like to actually fill a bowl full of raw food and eat it, and really just how do I feel about that, And you don't have to know before you come. You can come. If you don't want to eat any of the food in the end, then that's absolutely fine. But we might just be doing a little bit of well, how do I feel about the food that's on this table? What does it actually feel like in my sort of throat, or in my stomach, in my mouth, throat, this like digestive system? Where are you at now with that? Is it all blocked up? Do you have pain as well? What things might you want to see whether this could help you with? My experience personally is that this is an incredibly powerful approach that has totally revolutionized my own life and health. And I don't think we have in our society the sense of ease at the moment. We're not at ease with our food and with our bodies. We're fighting them, all the time with diets and exercise and treadmills. And I really want to invite you to invite it's something different to come in. And so when I first conceived of Raw Ground, that was really where it came from, was just that sense of I want us to be able as groups, families, communities, society, to invite something different in that's kinder and more nourishing to our bodies. And if we eat the food that we were intended to eat, and it's nourishing to us, genuinely nourishing to us, we can eat loads of it. We can eat as much of it as we want. Sorry. So, and my own personal experience is that the movement follows that quite naturally, because once our bodies are not clogged up anymore and they're not, we're not really struggling to get out of bed anymore, because certainly for me, that was one of the amazing things that happens every time I've made the shift from eating cooked food to eating raw food, is you bounce out of bed in the morning with kind of like loads and loads of energy. And that didn't happen to me before. And when it wasn't happening to me, I couldn't imagine that it would. Like, what, it's only after you have the experience, then you go, whoa, that's amazing. So for me, that energy and the mental clarity is absolutely priceless. It's a priceless aspect of eating high raw or raw food. So raw food is not an in or out thing. It's not something where you either I am raw or I'm not raw. I don't really do that. That's not me. We can all, we all kind of know, don't we, that we should be eating more green vegetables, but, we know they're good for us. Our grandmothers told us. But it's a bit like that, but there are some certain things to consider. So, we can all eat more raw food and it will do us good. But it can be really, really hard. Can be really hard in our society. There are kind of good reasons why it's really difficult. Certainly for me, it's been about a 10-year plus journey now to get to where I am, which is mostly raw food I eat, but not 100%. And I like to keep a bit of flexibility so I can have a social life and things like that as well, and move about in the world. And sometimes I'm in places where it's not possible. So it just we might just be working with the physical aspects of the body. What is our body telling us? What are the things that we want to work with? The pains and the aches and the kind of congested feelings, and whether it's up here or down here. Anyway, and there's also what's happening outside in the world. So, our world is in turmoil at the moment, and that has an impact, and it impacts on us, and it impacts on our mind, and then we eat, and then we feel ill, and then we get into a really negative cycle. So one of my teachers said to me and I'm doing some work with something called Open Floor. So it's Open Floor movement practice. They have a curriculum online which is open source, so that anyone can access that. But I have done some work with them, a fair bit of work with them. And anyway, she said to me, having a regulated nervous system is a political act. And that really struck me, because I have been quite upset about certain things that have been going on in the outside world recently, and understanding that, you know, to be able to maintain that centre. So we had to do a little writing exercise, and I wrote down something about chocolate. And, you know, I understood that that's has been one of my big battles, something I'm quite addicted to, and I go to when I'm feeling stressed and I'm feeling anxious, upset, whatever, all those negative emotions. It's like, eat, dampen it down. And you can't do that when you're eating raw food. You just, that kind of crutch, if you like, goes away. And then you have to find something else, some other way to work with those emotions that is healthier. And that's where the movement practice comes in, really. So the movement practice is learning how to move with those emotions. So when you start to eat raw food, you feel better, you feel lighter, you're waking up in the morning and bouncing out of bed, and then often it's like, bam, the world hits you. And when that happens, if you don't have tools, you don't have resources to manage those things in a healthy sort of way, and to process them, and I would argue that means to process them through the body, then you end up eating or drinking or smoking or engaging in other behaviours that are not necessarily very healthy and very respectful to ourselves. We do. You do, we do. We all do. So, learning to bring, and I'm, you know, kind of showing it a little bit, like showing you like how, like, okay, I'm thinking about a particular thing now as I'm moving, and actually it's having this effect on my body. Like, I want to do this movement, or I want to do, you know, it's like, we learn, there's almost a kind of sense that you can get it out through your fingertips, get it out, you know, through, and then, so there's a process that goes towards being much more active, and then coming down to a sort of calm, settled place. And then that's where we get that physiological regulation. That's when we get that sense of a calm nervous system. And I think that is something I see very little of out in the world, and it is, when you learn about it, absolutely priceless. So if any of what I have said in the last 14 minutes rings true for you, it resonates for you, and you feel like you would like to explore this for yourself and learn a little bit more about it, then please do get in touch or come along to Raw Ground. Okay, see you there.